Thank you for joining Baltimore County Police Department with this session of Candid Conversations. I am Kelly Finner, the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer with the Baltimore County Police Department.
My name is Candace Smith, senior at Towson University, and I'm the intern for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion at Baltimore County Police Department.
Together, we are your moderators for this conversation. Before we begin, I'd like everyone to take a brief moment to introduce themselves, give a brief statement of what branch of service you are a member of or that you're retired from, and your rank in that branch, as well as your reason for enlisting.
Hi, my name's Thomas Rauch. I'm currently in the National Guard for the Army. I served 6 years on active duty, also in the Army, and I felt like it was necessary for me to continue my goals and my career also in the National Guard. So I'm also doing that while being a police officer. I initially joined the military when I signed all the papers when I was about 17, 18. I did it to have a sense of purpose. To have a career and to achieve my goals at a young age.
Thank you, Thomas.
So my name is Sharon Fields Bass. I enrolled in the Army and moved into Maryland Army National Guard back in '78. So I'm a senior. I stayed in for a short term. It was like 3 years. It was enough for me to get my basic training and to go to school. And my goal was to become a part of the military, to be a positive force for my community, to transition, into learning all the skills that I could learn in terms of an officer. I left there as a private, E1, but it was very rewarding. And to this day, I still use some of the tools and some of the skills that I learned while I was in training.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Quimmelin Bull. I served in the Army Reserve for a period of 6 years. Left there at the rank of sergeant, squad leader. I initially joined for a variety of reasons. Primarily, one, I wanted to serve my country. I moved here at the age of 18 as an immigrant from West Africa, Liberia, and had this fortunate experience of experiencing the Civil War. And during that Civil War, we were rescued by soldiers, and I understood the importance of serving in that capacity. So when I moved to the United States, I joined the U.S. Army to also replicate what I experienced. Secondly, I joined the Army, I can say, because I did not know at the time what I wanted to do as far as my career and my future. And I believed that while serving, I will be placed in a better position to come up with that idea of what I wanted to do as far as serving. So I joined the Army, served for a period of 6 years, and by the time I got out of the Army, I realized that I liked that military lifestyle. Although I did not want to continue because I had developed and building a family, I believe that serving in law enforcement would have been something very similar. So I joined the police department while still in the military, and here I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Dean, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. My name is Dean Reinhardt. I'm a second lieutenant in the Army Reserves. I joined ROTC when I was in college, looking for some discipline and a sense of purpose. and I commissioned last year.
Natalie, can you go next?
Yes, ma'am. I originally went in 2 weeks after graduating high school to the regular Air Force, and then I got out, and then I went back into the Air National Guard in 1996, the same month that I joined the police department. So I have a total of 27 years in the military. So far, I'm a master sergeant, and right now I'm the first sergeant of the 135th Intelligence Unit at Martin State Airport. And I think I went in to just be part of something that was bigger than myself. I also like traveling, meeting new people, and all the diversity, challenges, and the benefits.
Thank you. Major Wilson.
Major Butch Wilson, the United States Marine Corps, from 86 to 90, got recalled for the first Gulf War, was actually only in for about a month, and then got right back on the police department because I was hired in April of 80 or April of 90. Joined the Marine Corps because, quite frankly, dealing with a lot of home issues at the time, and was worried I might need a place to live. And that was it.
Thank you. Also on our call today, we have members of the Veterans Administration. You could go one by one, introducing yourself and your area of expertise.
Well, hello. Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Dawson. I work for the VVA side here downtown on Hopkins Plaza here. I am a 20-year retired veteran, Army, hoof to all the Army people. And that is it. I retired and started working with the VA.
And what area of expertise are you at the VA?
I am legal administrative specialist / VSR. So I work underneath the public contact. So when you come in, you're the first face that I'm the first person you will see. And we also do a lot of outreaches and stuff like that.
Thank you. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank
David,
you.
next.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. This is Laverne Harmon. I'm the program manager for vocational rehabilitation services. I am a retired Army Sergeant Major. I joined the military because it offered opportunities for education and travel. I initially joined as an Army reservist. I really enjoyed what I was doing. I gained a strong sense of patriotism, and I became active duty. So I did just over 23 years before retiring, and I took 2 years off, and then I had to get right back with other veterans, and I started working at the VA.
Thank you. What's your area of expertise at the VA again?
Vocational rehabilitation. I'm the program manager.
Okay. David, next.
Okay, me. So my name is David Teixeira, originally from the Caribbean, small island, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I'm also a former police officer, British, that is, not the US. I've done 6 years policing in the island of the British Virgin Island, and also in Antigua, for those of you who know Antigua. And I also serve here in the military. So I've done 6 years in the best branch, which is the Army. I know some of you won't agree with me, but anyhow, I spent 1 year in Korea and the rest was at Fort Meade. I'm also, right now, I'm working for the Department of Veteran Affairs. My boss just spoke, Laverne Harmon, the program manager. I'm the lead vocational rehabilitation specialist, and I pretty much help people find employment. Veterans, whenever you are lost and do not know how to navigate, for example, the USA job, and you're broken and you're homeless and all that, I'm the person who gets you right into get your life back and into the community. I'm one of those persons. So again, I'm happy to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And Darcia.
Hi, my name is Darcy Anthony, and I work alongside Mr. David Teixeira and Laverne Hermit. I'm a vocational rehabilitation specialist at the Baltimore VA Medical Center. I'm also a veteran.
Wonderful. Thank you all so very much for agreeing to be a part of today's conversation. I do have a quick question. As you are doing your bios, I realized that everyone from the VA is also served in the armed forces. Is that a prerequisite, or it just so happened that this was a coincidence?
Maybe a
It's a
coincidence.
coincidence. We have lots of employees that are not veterans.
Okay.
Yes, it was not like that, but I think not too long ago, the president somewhat set a mandate. So OPM, where you have to have a certain amount of veteran working, so we increased. But when I first started in 2007, 2008, it wasn't like that, but the number has tremendously. So that's a beautiful thing for veterans coming in to meet us as, veterans too.
Great, wonderful. So Candace is going to start our conversation off with our first question.
Okay. So our first question is, how did you transition into civilian life? Like, did you struggle? Was it easy? Yeah, so we just want to hear everyone's perspective or experience with that.
If I may go first. For me, I'll be honest with you, when I leave the military, it was in 2008, 2007, and around that time. And it was rough. First of all, I didn't even know that I was a veteran. I'll be honest with you. I had no clue that I was, because I didn't retire. So it was very rough. Transition, and I was single parent at the time. It was very hard. It was a hard time. I mean, leaving Fort Meade, I had no idea what to do, where to go. I was pretty much like lost. It was not until I met someone who told me to go to the VA and that I'm a veteran and I can get medical care. At that time, I had no medical care. So I was telling my son, please try not to go outside because I don't want you to fall. I don't know, you may never get your hands bended, you little kids. So I didn't know what to do. And I was really lost. So the VA is actually what made it happen to me. For me then, it was a difficult time. Nobody tells you exactly what to do, but trust me, it's not like that anymore. We have transformed tremendously. So I just yield to the others and they can touch base with that.
I personally had a lot of struggles trying to get out of the military. I was thinking about what I would do in the civilian world. I had a family. Well, I still have a family. I have a wife and a daughter. She's now a little over 2. So getting out of active duty when I started when I was 18, and then served 6 years. So I was 24. There was a lot of concerns because you hear a lot of things saying that the civilian world is harder. Healthcare is expensive. Getting a job, keeping a job is very difficult. Especially getting out last year when COVID was an issue. It definitely brought a lot of stress because at the time I am still the rank of sergeant. I was making good money. I had my housing paid for with the housing allowance. I had the health care, and for a family, I mean, people who've served in active duty or even National Guard, the health care is phenomenal. It's amazing, and they take care of your family in that sense. And you have guaranteed housing, and that's something that I consider. I'm putting my family first before myself, so that they're taken care of. So I worked a lot with our SFL TAP, which is like the Soldier for Life program at Fort Drum, New York, and I got a lot of resources, did my math, and I reached out to the Baltimore County Police Department because I wanted to continue serving, but I wanted to move towards my community as well. So I reached out to them. I reached out to the employment section, and they were extremely helpful with the entire process, explained everything, and it made me getting out of the military a much smoother process. And then I even found out that I got hired before I officially transitioned out of active duty, which if anybody's been in the active duty setting, getting out, that took a lot of mental stress off of myself and my family, knowing that, we're going to have, a good place to live, we're going to have good health care and stuff like that. And, it's Baltimore County Police Department just made the process very, very smooth for me. And I appreciate that. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, hello, I'll go next. I will say that I did not experience the same things that the two gentlemen experienced. For me, I was just coming out of demobilization for the Iraq War. And like I said earlier, I came to the realization that I wanted to serve in a different capacity in that paramilitary organization, but not, having to risk leaving my family all the time. And I decided I was going to join law enforcement. So actually, while I was demobbing, I took the weekend off and I came and took the test. Initially, I actually lateral from Baltimore City Police Department, and I took the test Baltimore City and DC, and I chose to leave Maryland, so I chose Baltimore City. So I had that transition right out of military, right into law enforcement. I will say that I can understand two previous speakers' point of view because not much information was given to me at the time. This was about 2004, 2003, 2004. So there was not much information provided to me when I was transitioning from the military into the civilian life, but I do understand that now it's a little different and even better. So that's good news.
I guess I'll go next. My first time getting off of active duty, my first job just happened to be with the VA. And I can tell you that I was working for the VA and didn't even know I could come to the VA. I was in Georgia, and so the population I was working with were severely disabled. They had a lot of mental health issues. And so it was just my understanding that only sick people came to the VA. I had no idea that there were all these services available for people coming out of the military. I was actually working there about 2 years before someone asked me, "Hey, do you come here?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm not sick." That was literally my answer to them. And they were like, "No, you can come just as a veteran." So it kind of started the process of me realizing, oh, there are all these great services for veterans when they transitioned. I ended up going back into the service, doing green to gold. And I made sure I told all my soldiers that, make sure you link up with the VA when you come out. I have a difference of opinion. I don't think that they do enough to prepare soldiers when they transition out the military to let them know about the services. It still is kind of a very rushed process to me, where people are just happy to get out. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm ready to start my new life." And so they give you all this information about all these things, and the VA is like a small thing on the list. So it's very easy to miss when you're trying to really transition yourself, your family, and move back into civilian life. I definitely thought the transition was very difficult. I joined straight out of high school. I graduated a year early, so I was 17 when I went in, and I was not ready for what civilian life was going to be like. The military gave me everything I needed, so I never had to, worry about paying, like where I'm going to eat, where I'm going to live. So having to do it for myself was a little difficult when I first got out.
Well, I guess I'll go first. Next. For me, it was pretty scared when I got out, but lucky for me, my command sergeant major, my first sergeant, they guided me because they already had got out the military. I retired out of Fort Hood, Texas. So I had some kind of understanding by me working in personnel. So it kind of helped me helped me a little bit. But it was still scary for me because now I have to find a job because I didn't have a job in place and stuff. So I was I had applied for a lot of jobs, and then I applied for the VA. Then the VA, took me on, and I was working out of Waco, Texas. So, but I at least had some kind of guidance from my command sergeant major and my first sergeant that helped me out. But it is a scary world. But now, today is a little different because you have the TAP briefing, what we do, and transition the soldiers out, or the members out the military and stuff. So we do taps every time. I know it was the COVID time. I can't remember when you got out, but when you retired. So we didn't do a lot of taps, so everything was closed down, but we do the taps, and the tap do give you a lot of good advice and stuff on what you need to prepare yourself for when you come out the military. And I'm sorry for your transition. It was kind of a little tough. I do apologize for that. And that is it for me.
Yes, this is Laverne. So I transitioned in 2006. And after being in the military over 23 years, I was so accustomed to the military culture. So when we talk about culture, it was really a bit of a culture shock to come from a place where I'm in charge of so many things and so many responsibilities to coming back to civilians. I still have my mother and sister telling me, stop bossing me around. You're not in charge here. So I really did have to take those 2 years to, I guess, civilianize myself, just so that I could fit back in, because you're in a different frame of mind when you're always focused on the mission and on the soldiers and what you had to do. So as well as David and Darcia did not realize that I could use the Veterans Affairs. I thought of that as being, older veterans with a lot of disabilities. And also with the military culture, especially when you're higher in rank, you tend not to go for medical treatment. Is that no pain, no gain, or, I can handle it, So you didn't go for those things, but you really needed to. So the great thing about the TAPS program, because I just read about it, and they start a year out, so that people can focus on it, because when you wait towards the end, the main focus of the soldier or the person who's transitioning, you're looking at, is my money going to be straight? And I can tell you that's most what everybody's looking at. When is my money going to start up? Is my leave? All that's going to be straight, and where am I going to live? So you're not really looking at all those other things that TAP is sharing with you about education and employment. And it's not that they aren't sharing it, it's just that that's not your focus at that time. Okay. So I'm glad that they're starting that a lot earlier, where people can really think about it.
Natalie, can you answer that question?
I'm still active. I still have 5 more years on.
Okay, great. 5 more years. How about you, Major Wilson?
I really didn't have time to really transition. I got out of the Marine Corps. I got a job I hated for about a month. Realized civilian life really ain't for me. I still miss the military culture. I extremely miss it in our appearance standards that we currently have in the police department. I find that the folks from the military carry themselves in a certain way, particularly when they're in uniform, and you can pretty much pick them out from 100 yards away. I wish that the police department still had that. And it's, I've been out for 30 some years, and I still miss the military bearing and the leadership stuff that I learned in the military. But I was lucky. I mean, my transition was pretty much, I got out, did a civilian job for a couple of weeks, and then boom, I was on the police department and haven't looked back. So I was pretty lucky.
Sharon, how about you?
Well, for me, I since my term was pretty short, and I was in, like I said, the reserve. So I transitioned out. I went in early. I mean, I was like 17, 18 years old. So back then, you know, the actual unit I was in did not have enough reserve officers. And so I wanted to become full time, but they wouldn't let me. So because of the shortage that was here in Baltimore at the time, I was informed that I had to stay with that unit and could not go full time reserve, which it really broke my heart because I wanted to do full time and to become part of the Army. And so after I finished my term, it was really short. It was like 3 years. Like I said, you know, I just went out on a honorable discharge. And I was a stock control clerk. And so even in that short period of time, transitioning from Fort Lee, Virginia, um, uh, 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 um, doing my basic training and then going to school, the culture is really different. I mean, your mindset is based on how you have been trained. And so even after leaving that short period of time, coming back into civilian life, I mean, you know, I felt like very like lost. I wanted to be a part of what I left. And even though um, it was short, but it was a lesson that I learned in terms of, you know, transitioning back out into the community. Um, you know, I was on my own. I didn't have any guidance. You know, I wasn't given any information. You know, even leaving on good terms. You know, like where I can go and what resources was available. You know, because there were a lot of Army reserves officers at the time, you know, and so I was pretty much on my own. So I had to go look for employment, you know, and transition myself, you know, back into the community the best way I could. And my family was very supportive, you know, as I looked for employment. And I really went back, I went to college, you know, because I couldn't see myself leaving such a structured program, you know, organization. Um, not see myself continue with what I learned. I was just so mentally just prepared to you know, focus on the mission. You know, I mean, I was up 5 o'clock in the morning, you know, still doing exercises, you know, my routine and my eating habits had not changed. And I think it took me almost another 3 years before I actually just stopped doing a lot of things that I had learned. And so but that was my experience and it was a good one. So yeah.
As I listen to all of you, one thing popped in my mind. We talk about transitioning out and how either there were no resources or the resources that you were exposed to were very limited. So if you're transitioning out, and I guess this is for my Veterans Affairs representatives, if you're transitioning and you're giving your papers and said, go forth, thank you for your service. If there's no home for you to go back to because you've dedicated your life to the military service, is there any type of resource that provides you a place to live back in your hometown until you're able to get a job and, you know, sustain these types of things on your own?
Well, I can only speak for here in Baltimore. Well, every state has some kind of well, like we have like the homeless shelter, like Mavet, that we deal with a lot. So a lot of our stuff is online, or either, you know, we have like at the hospital, we have like social workers that can help a veteran out. So let's say if they, you know, if they need help and stuff, and they say they're a veteran, they can talk to a social worker here downtown Baltimore, either at Fed Street for some kind of assistance, or either everything is online.
Is there a requirement for veteran status? Are you supposed to serve a certain amount of years? Can you be dishonorably
You have to
discharged?
have
Or
24 consecutive years in order to qualify for VA purpose. So let's say if you're DD 214, they put you out because you have some kind of mental. So the you'll be able to be seen at the hospital, I think up to 5 years, and with some kind of care and stuff. If you got out under mental and stuff.
So I'm sorry, David. Did you want to go?
So, sorry, Lisa, finish up.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay.
Yeah.
We can't hear you, David.
I can't hear.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, Lisa had just touched on the point of the mental illnesses and so on. But when we're talking about, I guess, classification, that came to mind. And I know that there are about 8 categories of classification. And of course, the disability condition is one of those. So they go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 8 ways in which they classify you here at the VA on the health side. Remember, Lisa is coming from the benefit side. We are on the health. So it's kind of different, similar under one umbrella, but different scope. So the first category pretty much has like veterans, like she pointed out, would be like the ones who doesn't have to pay like a co-payment. For example, like the one who was service connected, or even if you receive one of those medals, it's called the Medal of Honor, the highest medal.
Yeah.
Those are just examples. Exactly. Those are just examples that categorize you into the first. And Lisa again can explain this better than I do, the unemployability condition. So unemployability condition, service-connected disability, which is 50% or more disabling, and also the honor. Those put you right into category 1. That means you can get all your medical free without paying a copay. So even if veterans come here to the hospital and they're receiving benefit, it doesn't mean that it's free for all. Some people are entitled to pay a copay. And it goes down like that. Category 2 would be somebody who has like between 30 and 40% disabled. So it all depends. And that is done. We have a specialized service here who are able to assess you. And once you walk in, and who are able to categorize you so you know exactly where you stand. And in the first category, let's say 100% or so for dental work. So not everybody's entitled to everything. It's based upon the categorization of veterans. For example, number 3 category would be the ones who were discharged, let's say, from the military with a disability, things like that. And all the way down to 8, So there are different categories, and you can research this. It's important to know this because I have a friend, and he was from the police department, who came into the military once, to the VA once, and he thinks that, well, I thought so too, that he could have been giving disability without services here, without having to pay, just like others would receive. And he was told that no, he cannot. And again, that was based upon, which is a whole nother thing. It's based upon how much money you're making and where you stand. So they will categorize you, they will assess you, and they will know exactly who is entitled to what and what. So not everybody would receive free care or even care here from the VA, because there's a threshold by state where you're living and so on, and how much you make based on how much people are in the family, how much money and support, in order for you to be eligible for the care. Yeah, so I just wanted to throw that in.
I think to answer your question, it's not very streamlined. We make it sound very streamlined, but it's not very streamlined. The average soldier getting out and transitioning, you would have to come down to the VA, provide your DD 214. There's a wait for that. Even if, let's say, you had nowhere to go, you had nowhere to live, yes, you could come down to the VA, and we do have like a HUD-VASH program which assists homeless veterans. But the average veteran is not going to know that. They're not going to know, and it still takes time. It's not like they come in and say, hey, I'm homeless, I have no place to go, and then a social worker is going to give you a housing voucher. That isn't going to happen. There's a process to it. So your original question, is there a place that a veteran can go? I'm sure they can go to a homeless shelter, but I don't foresee a veteran getting out the service, and if they were homeless, that would be where they go. Most veterans normally, once they get out, stay in their local area if they choose not to go home or they can't go home. Like you normally live in a community for a period of time, and you just kind of blend in with them.
Yes, so thank you for bringing me back in that.
Yes.
And you're right. The HUD-VASH is the one I had it in mind, very much so. The VA is very big on the homeless population right now. They have had so many different. That's a big thing on the secretary's agenda, and so it's two different things, HUD and then you have VASH. So there's a certain amount of voucher that are given to the VA. But bottom line, if you are veterans, and even if you come here, I've seen veterans come here with a bag, everything, just walk into the VA. I had nowhere to go. I was exiting, and I've seen that. They would never leave you because this, first of all, is an embarrassment on behalf of the VA to have you sleeping on the street. So we make sure you get, whether they pay for you to go to a hotel, get one of those places like Vet and those places that we work with, and they will make sure you get a voucher. There are categories, and like let's say 3 categories in terms of homelessness and the way it is being defined by them. And so if you're in the first category, meaning let's say you're on the street sleeping, then you tend to get the voucher quicker than those who may have been sleeping by an uncle or a mother or in the car. So they kind of weigh the definition and determine who gets what. So it's not like they have vouchers for everybody. It's based upon assessment category, but they will make sure at the end of the day, you get somewhere to stay and not on the street. We will. We will make sure.
And I wanted to add the transition assistance program. They do include counseling on benefits and housing. So they do give you counseling on being able to get a VA loan eligibility. So you get a certificate if you plan on buying a house when you get out. I would say the majority of veterans who are retiring would have some type of plan for where they're going to live, and they already know that they're having an income.
Correct.
Most veterans try to save some of their leave so that at the time that you get out, you're still getting paid while you have time to do that. And there are resources that tell you where there's a lot of military discounts for apartments and really military-friendly places for housing and other resources. So
Correct.
it's those ones that who may get out abruptly and have not made any plans who could really benefit from resources from the VA with housing assistance, especially if they need immediate housing assistance.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laverne.
Okay, so the next question we had was about like just chiming in on the resources. Like, how would people, like, in your opinion, like, how would people know about these resources if there's no like exit when you like leaving from the like when you get discharged? If no one tells you about it, like, how will people know? Or like people, for example, people that had already like are already out of the military and like they're already like homeless or whatever, like how do y'all think, like, I guess like in an outreach sense, like how would you get in contact to let them people, like those people that have no idea, like let them know about the resources that y'all named?
So right now on all the bases, we have a VA rep on all the bases. That's at Bethesda, that's at Andrews, Fort Meade, that will assist soldiers or sailors getting out the military and stuff. Like I said, most of the stuff is online, but if most of the time, a lot of the veterans, they will go to the VA and see can they get some kind of care and stuff and see what is they're entitled to and stuff. So we have on every base, even at Fort Hood, there's a VA rep there that can help them, guide them, and give them some kind of assistance on preparing them for getting out of what they need and stuff. We also give them a list of like places to live, what's available for them in their packet.
Gotcha.
So Lisa, earlier you mentioned in order to be a veteran, you had to serve your 24 years.
Consecutive years, yes.
So if
24 months, consecutive years, sorry.
If you don't meet that requirement, are these resources made available to anyone else?
They're still out there, yes, ma'am. They are. They're still out there and stuff. So if you don't meet that requirement, so let's say like you put in a claim. So now if you put in a claim and stuff, and we rate you, then you'll be able to use it. You understand me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll look in your records and see, okay, you must have had some, some kind of mental, everything is mental now. It's some kind of mental health going on, while you was on active duty or something.
Well, I was discharged with a honorable discharge.
Mhm.
And so it's the amount of time spent that determines if I was a veteran or not. Now,
Correct.
during that time, they had it categorized where you can go 3 years, 5 years, they had it in increments like that. But
Yes,
what
ma'am.
they did not tell me was that at any whatever length of stay or whatever length of time I was going to go in, will that determine if I was going to be a veteran or not? That's what they didn't tell me. And so that information wasn't given when you go to the recruiter's office, they recruiting you to come into the military. It's
Yes, ma'am.
about, what all the military, the Army offers, travel, education, this and things that you can apply for, but never stating, yeah, after you complete this term, then you're a veteran. After you're a veteran, you can re-enlist, things like that. So, I didn't get the whole picture.
So when you got off of active duty, so if you put your, the old GI Bill, so you had 10 years to use that money and stuff. So you had the time that you ETS out the military, that 10 years started. So let's say you don't go 10 years after, that money is gone. So now with the newer veterans that are getting out the military, we call it the 9/11 GI Bill. You have 15 years to do your schooling and stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I do know that in terms of resources, because the question is like, how do veterans, obtain resources, correct? And so, in terms of what resources are available to them. So, in my field of work, I'm a mental health and substance abuse counselor. So, what we do is when we do the screening for mental health and substance abuse, we ask if that person is a veteran or not. If they are, then we refer them to the VA. We refer them to the MECVET, which has a good program, which
Right.
the 1 to 2 year program that is an educational program that offer housing, medical, and that's the connection right there. They also have other halfway houses that they can go to. They have to do an assessment. So so there is information in the community outside of the VA that's out there that other professionals and other healthcare professionals are using to direct folks that are veterans that are not aware of the resources where we can send them.
Right.
Mhm.
That is true. So that's what I was saying. So like I was saying, in your packet, when a soldier's getting ready to ETS or retire out, they have this packet where all the VA stuff is in there when they went to that TAP briefing and stuff. So it has the housing, they have the suicidal line, they have everything in there where they can contact and find out any information. And we also stress on that you need to go on the website to look up different things and stuff, because this is the way the world is going now. The paper is going, everything's on a website and stuff.
Yeah, and that I think sometimes that can be a barrier for some folks who are homeless because they don't have a computer. They don't have a way to get the information that's needed. And so I think some of like I said, the McVet location down on Green Street, they have like some places have like a drop-in spot where where they can go in, get information and take showers and stuff like that, and probably use a computer. Or now that there's no in-person, the library was available for them to access,
Correct.
information. So, I don't know what's going on now, since there's no too much in person.
So with us now, you have to make an appointment in order for us to see you and stuff. So, but this is in the whole building now, the whole federal building now. You have to make an appointment in order to come in. So when you make that appointment, then we discuss whatever and stuff. The only people that everybody makes an appointment, I should say, even VRNE for education and stuff. So their website, you would go on va.gov site and then go to the education portion, and then you can make an appointment for them to either do a virtual talking to you, or I'm not for sure do that. Are they doing in person? But for us, we do in person, but you have to have that appointment and stuff. And that's the only way. And that's, like I said, even IRS. So that's the whole building now.
So they're good. And so
Right.
on the, this is David. So on the health side now, it's all you got to do is to walk through the door. Just come through the door and we take care of you from, let's say you have no clue. And you made a very good point with Matt Vet going there and mental health issues and so forth. And we work very closely, collaboratively with those people, those veterans from there. We have the homeless specialists who represent us there. Then you have us, which is Voc Rehab for those who want jobs and employment and so on. And so once from there, they're connected here on the 6th floor, which is mental health. That's where we come in. We work with anyone who have from depression, no matter whatever your psychosis are. We work with you along with collaboratively, meaning with a team. It's a continuum of care concept, social worker, psychologist. We work with primary care, everyone as a team to make sure that you pretty much get well and go back to competitive, to living your life. Okay, so Matt Vet is a very we work really closely with a lot of people from there. So I was kind of listening to your process and the referral and see how that's really working so far very well. But
also have the annex too. The annex that you know that also the veterans can go over there that are homeless and stuff.
That's very true. The annex is another component of the health sector, and so the annex is right across from, for those of you who do not know where the old bus station used to be. What's the street called? It's right across.
It's 209 West Fair Street.
West Fair Street. That's right. Thank you.
209 West Fair Street. That's right across from the Baltimore street here.
So that's what you do. Anyone who is lost, just tell them, please just go into the just walk through the door of the VA, and we will make sure, because we have to do that. It's something that everyone has to do. I mean, we have to make sure directly we get you. First thing, you must be connected to a primary care provider. And the primary care is just like the quarterback. He's going to divert all your attention and care to the respective person, to the specialist who will do the referral to, let's say, for housing, to the hot vash, referral to mental health. He directs your care. He or she, sorry, directs the care to wherever after seeing you. So that's really ways you come into the hospital, just let anyone know, and then we would take you there. Once you walk through the door and you're lost, we would take. So that's the beautiful thing. I wish I had known that. Just go to the hospital, tell them I'm new, I need services. And again, we have transformed. I must add that. It's never used to be the way it was for all of us. It's really different. Yeah.
That's correct.
You know,
Right.
David, you mentioned.
Okay. Go ahead.
David, you mentioned jobs and employment, and it made me think, Natalie, if you could answer this question for me. I know you said you had 5 more years left. Does your current MOS, the job you do for the military, provide you with the talent necessary to find employment if you were not already a Baltimore County police officer? You're muted. Still muted.
Hear you. Look like she's frozen.
Yes.
Okay, I think the schooling for the first sergeant, it was a month long, and it was very intense curriculum in Montgomery, Alabama. I went through last year, but I've been through many schools throughout my career in the Air National Guard and traveled, all over, Europe, and had many experiences. So I would say definitely, if I wasn't in the police department, I would be able to sell myself and to be respectful and reliable person to maintain, to get some type of employment. But
That's
I also
great.
want to tell you something about when I worked in the Essex precinct, we had a rather large population of homeless people, and we actually asked the VA to go out with us And we went in the woods and we met lots of veterans that were in the woods, and we had the VA representatives offer a lot of them assistance. Unfortunately, most of them did not want any assistance. They actually preferred to stay in the woods, and that was just the lifestyle that they had become accustomed to. But I thought it was great that we went out in the middle of the winter. It was snowing, very cold, and somebody from the VA actually went with us, and we went to their camps and tried to explain to them what their options were. And I just thought that was a great program that, we tried to get them out of that environment and get them some assistance for, what they had done for our country.
Awesome. Thanks, Natalie. Major Wilson, earlier you said that civilian life just wasn't for you. When you got out the military, one of the things you missed was the appearance standards. Do you think your time in the military is what drew you to law enforcement?
Well, I already knew, like, when I went in the Marine Corps, that most likely that I wanted to be a police officer when I came out. But I was always involved in team sports when I was younger. So to me, policing and the military are the ultimate team sports. So I wanted to be a part of that. But, the fact that the military, things like honor, integrity, working together are, the most important things. And that's, I think, unfortunately, we have kind of lost some of that. And I think maybe it's also a cultural thing. Military bearing, you can just tell people that have been in the military the way they carry themselves. Even after a certain period of time, I mean, you go into a Dunkin' Donuts, you still see older folks with their military, baseball caps on, and the way they talk and the way they carry themselves. It's just something that stays with you your entire life.
Thanks, Major.
Okay, so just to wrap things up, because we reached our time limit, we are at 2 o'clock. First, I just want to thank everyone for participating in today's conversation. I learned a lot. Someone that was even considering going to the military, like, it was just interesting to hear everyone's point of view, perspective. I hope our listeners will appreciate your insight and experience, because, like I said, I did. Just want to thank everybody again. And I wish each and every one of you peace, prosperity, and wellness. And have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
all.
guys.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Very good. Thanks.
Bye.